everybody, this is Jackie from Jack Gets Lost Down a Book Hole, and I thought I would do a video that is about something that I've seen other people do quite a bit, and that is update you on my current reads. And I actually have already done this before. Whenever I get back from vacation, I will go on little mini vacations to see my sister or my grandma, and I will usually, update you on what I read during those trips. Well, I thought I would go ahead and update you what I'm currently reading this week. So I actually finished a book this month already, and I finished it on, May 1st, because it was a book that I've been reading for a long time, quite a while, and I finally finished it. And that book was The Secret History by Donna Tartt. And I will talk about more of this when I do a May wrap-up, because, like I said, I finished it on May 1st, so it counts as a May read, even though I was reading it before May. I really enjoyed this book. This book was awesome. I love her writing style, and by the way, I will probably be one of those few people who likes both this one and her other book, The Goldfinch, because I know a lot of people have said that they either love The Goldfinch or they love this one. And whichever one they love, they hate the other one out between those two. But I will probably be one of those few people who likes both. It's funny, I had just realized what was on this cover. My mom pointed it out to me. She saw, I was reading it the other day, and she was like, "Who's that on the cover, David?" And, I looked, I was like, "Oh my god, really? There's actually a face on the cover. It's one of those statues or sculptures or whatever." I did not realize that. I just thought it was this weird yellow thing on it. Yellowish thing. I did not realize that was a statue of a Greek figure. I feel so dumb that I didn't even realize it. But I never really looked at it that closely. Like I said, I just thought it was this weird yellow design that kind of was like made into waves. Because from a distance, or when you're looking on here, that's what it kind of looks like if you don't look close. But I was so glad that I finally finished this. And at some point, I would like to read it again. I thought it was very interesting and very compelling story. I know a lot of people say it comes off as very pretentious, but as Abigail Haley pointed out, I feel like that's the point of the book. You are dealing with a bunch of arrogant college kids who are in a class where it's very selective, and it's only like 7 of them, actually counting our protagonists. And they're studying Greek, and they have this, and when you're that age, I feel like there's a pretty good chance you're gonna be very arrogant, or maybe not arrogant, but you're gonna think you're smarter than everybody. Or at least, you're gonna get cocky. And then, scratch that. Not everybody's like that, but I think a lot of people are like that. And besides our main character, all these characters have this, well, except for the one female character in the book, the one main female character, that is, because there are more female characters. But, the one main female character, though, she's not as bad as all of the boys and all the young men in this novel. Not counting our main character. But they're all pretty, like I said, his classmates are all pretty arrogant and everything, and, so I feel like that's the point. I feel like she's trying to say that no matter how clever and witty and intelligent you are, you will do stupid things. Stupid, problematic things that will result in dire consequences. And I had the perfect word yesterday that I was thinking that I would say when just talking about this book, but I can't remember, so maybe I'll remember by the time I do my wrap-up for May, I don't know. But that's the one book I've finished so far this month. I haven't finished any other books, but it is only the first week of the month, so. But I am sure this next one I will be finishing soon, and that is George Orwell's novella Animal Farm, which is a political satire, particularly about, I think it's about communism. But last year I read, I think it was last year, or the beginning of this year, I can't remember. Actually, I think it was the beginning of this year. I read 1984 and I really loved it. It really made me nervous though. It freaked me out a bit. Of course, the other one I read that wasn't by him but had the same kind of themes and stuff, The Circle by David Eggers. That one freaked me out more than 1984 because it was a little more close to home than 1984, but still 1984 made me nervous. And it definitely is not like the dystopians of YA, where at the end of the day it usually ends very somewhat in a happy place, or at least bittersweet, because from what I heard about the ending of the Divergent series, that one does not necessarily end happy, but I imagine it's so, but I think in 1984 the ending is a lot worse than the ending of Divergent, because I think something happens to the main character. But in the Divergent series, because I kind of got spoiled. I've never read it, and I have no interest in reading it, so I don't care if I get spoiled for it. But I think something does happen to the main character in that series, and it was not, and a lot of people were mad about that. But I think what happens in 1984, if I'm right, what happens at the end of Divergent, I think what happens in 1984 is a lot worse than what happens in the Divergent series. But I could be wrong, and like I said, I haven't read it, so I don't know exactly the exact ending of the books of that series. So don't hate me. I mean, you can correct me if you read it, but anyway, I mean, like I said, I think I got a sort of spoiled for the book, but like I said, I have no interest in reading it seriously, so I don't care. I mean, maybe I will get it from the library one day because I think it is at our library. But either way, at the moment, I have no interest. I don't really care. I mean, I've seen the movies, and and I have no interest. Plus, I'm also someone who looks for spoilers anyway. I get so annoyed when people are like, I'm not gonna spoil you. No spoilers. I mean, it's cute when River Song says it, but when it comes to regular people saying it about a TV show, or a movie or a book, I need to know what's gonna happen so I can mentally prepare myself. I mean, I know that sounds weird, and there are some times where I don't want to be spoiled, but a lot of times I will look for spoilers. Like, when I was still watching Once Upon a Time, I would always, during that first season, I was always checking for spoilers, seeing what was gonna happen in the next episode. And with shows like Gotham, I'm not exactly looking for spoilers, but I am anticipating if they're gonna get canceled or not. It's driving me crazy. But anyway, so far I have gotten through the first 4 chapters. There's only 10 chapters in this, so it still won't take me so long. Like I said, this is a political satire. I think it's about communism. And it's called Animal Farm because it's about these farm animals who decide to take over the farm where they live. And they chase away the owner and his workers, and they set an edict and everything, like come up with all these rules and stuff, and the pigs become kind of representative of the hierarchy. They become the ones that take most charge because the other animals are considered kind of dumb and very naive. And that's all I got so far. It's really good. I love satire. I love satires. Like, one of my favorite movies that I think it would be considered a satire is Pleasantville, which is a satire on, like, those old 1950s TV shows. And it's really good. It's like about these 2 modern 90s kids who get sucked into an old 1950s TV show, and they become the characters in the show, and it's one of those old black and white shows, and it's very simple. And the sister ends up starting to slowly influence the town. Then the town starts becoming colored because it's filmed in black. It's in black and white, but all of a sudden it's because of her influence, and like she has sex with people and introduces some of the people of the town, the teenagers of the town, all these different things that are very mature and inappropriate, or at least inappropriate for them in their world. And the world slowly starts coloring and changing, and they become a little more complex people. And it's a great movie, and it has a little bit of a reference to, like, not 1984, in Fahrenheit a little bit, because there is a scene when the people running the town, like the mayor, decides that they need to destroy books because that's what makes them, he feels like that's part of what influences them. So he ends up having them burn the book. So it kind of is a little, at least I feel like it is a little, it's a reference to Fahrenheit 451. It's a really good movie, by the way. I think it stars Reese Witherspoon and Tobey Maguire. And even if you're like me and you don't like Tobey Maguire, it's still worth a watch. But anyway, so I'm really enjoying Animal Farm, and let me close this door. And I think if you like political satires, I think you would enjoy you like George Orwell, I think you would enjoy this book. I mean, maybe, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but so far I think it's really good, and I think it's worth a read. And I definitely understand why this is on academic curriculums, because of what you can learn from this book. So I'm currently reading that. Like I said, I'm almost at the halfway point, and because it has 10 chapters, and I'm on chapter 4 right now, so I only got chapter 5, and then I'm at the halfway point. But I will probably read past chapter 5 because I have this weird pet peeve where I have to read, unless it's a really long book. I usually, and the chapters are super long. Actually, like The Secret History, the chapters are really long in this book. There weren't a lot. There were 8 chapters. But still, they were really long chapters. So I was stopping at, there were breaking points in the book, in the novel, so I would usually stop there when I was reading, and if I had to stop, I would try to get to those points. But normally, if it's chapters and they're brief, I usually try to stop at even chapter. I will read 2 chapters, and if even chapters, and then I will stop on the first even chapter I come to. So it's one of my weird little pet peeves that I have to stop at even chapters, unless, like I said, it's a really long book or the chapters are really long. Okay, so the next book I am currently reading is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I finally am getting around to this book. I've mentioned that repeatedly on other videos, where I talk about possible books I was going to read this month. That has kind of changed a little. I think that has changed a little bit, but not by much. I think. I don't know. But this is the second one. And I reading this again, getting back into this world, I forgot how much I enjoyed it. And I prefer this over the Grisha trilogy. I still really enjoyed the Grisha trilogy. But I really like this one, this duology, so much better than the Grisha trilogy. It's so, I love all the characters. They give me so many feels. And so far with this one, I'm at the point, the events, they're going through the process of getting what they need to, the first book, it's hard for me to talk about this book without giving away anything. I'm trying to talk about it without, and explain where I am in the book without giving away anything if you have not read Six of Crows. But, the first one, the Six of Crows ends on a cliffhanger, and the cliffhanger, that's funny, they have that quote on there. Jasper tapped his fingers restlessly. Has anyone noticed the whole city is looking for us? Mad at us or wants to kill us? So, said Kaz. Well, usually it's just half the city. I love that quote. Well, the first book, Six of Crows, ended on a cliffhanger. So they've kind of resolved the cliffhanger now. I'm at that point where they've sort of resolved it, but now they got other problems. And of course the relationships that were introduced in the first book are they seem like they were at a good point, or at least one of them was, but now it's falling apart again in this book. So, which of course, as someone who likes romance in her books, I like it in my books. I just won't read it, the genre, but I do like it in my books. So, as someone who likes romance in her books, like in, in fantasy and in historical fiction and horror, well, not so much horror, but in historical fiction and fantasy, that is kind of frustrating that one of the couples is like having problems, and then the other couple that's introduced that really hasn't gone anywhere, or at least the two characters are being stubborn, in my opinion, because they have that whole mentality of love makes you weak, blah blah blah. I hate when characters do that, when they're all like, I'm not gonna tell this person who I love them, I'm not gonna, because it makes me like weak and stuff like that. And that was one of the things when I was still watching Once Upon a Time. That was one of the things that, like, Cora, the evil queen's mother, was all like, love is weakness, blah blah blah. It's like, oh my god, it's not weak. Even on Gotham, but I mean with Gotham, granted, in these shows like Gotham, it makes sense that these characters are thinking this way, but it's still, it's like, seriously, you think love makes you weak? You dumb idiot. Love, yeah, your enemies will come after you. Of course, they come after the people you love. But at the same time, it gives you motivation. It's reason for fight for what you want, to protect your loved ones. But, in the case of Gotham, is the two characters I'm referring to that are all like, love makes you weak, they're a bit complicated, and they're criminals, and they do a lot of bad stuff, so it's kind of hard to, love them for who they are. Let's face it, they're nuts. Not as nuts as a certain character that everybody loves, including myself now. Of course, that's because of the actor who portrays this character. Sorry, I'm still kind of obsessed with Gotham, and tonight, a new episode is finally coming on TV, and we finally will get a glimpse of a certain character that is everybody's favorite villain in the Gotham Batman universe, where he's finally arrived. And he was born a couple episodes ago, and now we finally see him again in this episode, and there's this whole arc in these last 3 episodes, and I'm just so nervous that they're gonna end up on a cliffhanger, and we're not gonna get season 5, because there are some people who aren't content with how the show is going right now. But I'm just really obsessed with that show right now, and it's one of those things where it's like, this is my day off. Although it's also a very busy day because it's senior discount day, so they might still call me, and I'm very nervous about that. But either way, it's my day off, and it's like I don't want the day to end because I only have today and Friday, and then I have work again on Saturday. I don't know if I'm gonna work on Sunday or not, but I work on Saturday, so it's like I don't want to rush the day, but at the same time, I'm like, I want to get to the episode, but unfortunately, it's a nighttime show, so it won't come on until the evening. So it's like, I have very mixed feelings. Like, I don't want the day to end too soon, but then it's like, I want to get to the episode, but that won't come until tonight. So, I don't know if anyone else ever feels that problems when they have shows they love to watch. If, like, they're caught between wanting to get to the show, but then not wanting the day to be over. So I don't know if I'm the only one who ever has experienced that feeling, but that's how I feel right now. I hate when that happens. Like, there's something you're looking forward to, but then, it means that when you get to it, then the day will be over. Okay, back to this. Sorry, I went off on a little tangent. I'm just, as I said, I'm very obsessed with Gotham right now. But yeah, this is really good, and like I said, the cliffhanger that at the end of Six of Crows is resolved rather quickly in this book. Not quickly, but of course, then a new problem is starting to occur in the book right now. So it's just because that one was resolved does not mean things are going to be any easier for the characters. So the last book that I have not finished, that I will probably not finish by the end of the month, like, I'll probably get these 2 finished, Animal Farm Crooked Kingdom, by the end of the month, but this next one I won't, and that is Clash of Kings. The next book in the Six of Crows, in the Song of Ice and Fire series. It's the second book in the series. I've already read the second book, I've read the first and the second book, and I've read halfway through the third book, Storm of Swords, but I got to the point where I took too long of a break. Like, that tends to happen with bigger books. for me, and I ended up deciding I'm going to start over and reread the first two books, and then reread the first part of the third book, and then just keep going from there, just as long as I don't take too many breaks. And I'm currently doing a buddy read with someone on Facebook. I am in as I've said multiple times, I am in a Facebook book-related group. I'm into one of them. I actually run that I manage myself, and then the other one is one that I manage with somebody else. Which, it's so frustrating because the one that I don't run is not as active, but one of the owners of that group did say, well, it will probably take a long time before you get into a rhythm of where people are constantly active in your group, because I don't have a lot of people in the group. I think in that particular group, I do not have over 100 people yet. So if you're on Facebook and you find a book corner, then that might be my group. But, I got to the chapter on Theon. I have not finished the chapter on Theon yet. This is Theon's first chapter. It's the one where he's arrived home. But I do know what happens. I do remember what happens. It's partly because of the TV show. That is, he runs into his sister, and he is not welcomed with open arms because he has not earned, because he's been so gone for so long and has been living with the Starks, he's not earned back the love of his, the respect of his father and the people, because they just see him as a Stark now. They don't see him as one of their own. And I kind of felt bad, but a very little, only a slither of sympathy for him, considering that he's a pig. He's an asshole. I mean, I feel bad that he got his man parts chopped off and I hate Ramsay more than I hate Theon. But, I mean, that's what's great about the series, is there's all these characters you love and you hate them. I mean, not that I would go as far as say I love Theon, because I don't. But you have very complex feelings about these characters, whether it's, when you're reading the books and or watching the show. Sometimes you go back and forth, and when you express your feelings about these characters, sometimes you love them, and sometimes you like them, and sometimes you don't like them. A lot of these characters are very complicated, and very, they do good and bad things. That's what I love about the series. It's more interesting to me than I love Lord of the Rings, or at least the movies. I have not read the books. But I do love the Lord of the Rings movies, but I feel like that series, it's complex, but it's not as complex as this series. I feel like there's so much more to this series. I know a lot of people don't like it, and they love Lord of the Rings, and are all like, how dare you compare Song of Ice and Fire and Lord of the Rings, and Lord of the Rings is so much better. Or at least I feel like that's how one of my friends on Facebook who loves the Lord of the Rings books and has read them, of course, feels. It's like, and I get it, this series is not everybody's cup of tea, and there are there's very much a lot of crude, honest, genuine things in this book. And you cannot tell me that there isn't, cursing and lots of sex back in the day. People act like, or that they'll say curse words, and don't tell me that they won't. Granted, I haven't done the research, but I highly doubt that they wouldn't have that back then. I don't think they're all, saintly and perfect and pure back then, to me, there's no way they could have been, all pure and perfect and not be vulgar back then. Especially with the way women were treated back then. To me, this probably is a little more authentic. And plus, Lord of the Rings is also a full-on fantasy series, so it's not a real world. This is inspired by the real world, by not today's real world, but the medieval Renaissance period, like War of the Roses and, famous historical queens and kings and other historical figures. So I think this is probably more authentic, and it's just, I find if you don't like books like this and you would rather read something like Lord of the Rings, that's fine. If you like it better, but just don't act all superior about it. Act like it's so much better and so much worthier than this book, just because it has sensationalism. I have very strong feelings. I mean, I do like the girl that I have this. I do like the girl that I have this problem with, where she acts like Lord of the Rings is superior to this book. But I mean, but she's, she's still my friend, in a way. We've, although come to realize there's only one thing we really talk about. And now that we're no longer interested in that thing, I feel like we don't talk about anything else, and she's always busy, but she's no problem with talking on the groups. But anyway, I better stop talking because one day she might be watching this. I don't know. But anyway, so as you can see, I'm not very far with it. Like I said, I'm only on the Theon chapter, and I'm not even done with the Theon chapter. I'm almost to the point where I stopped last time, because it's a long, long book, over 500 pages. I did start reading it already, and then I took a long break, so I decided to start over with it, and this time I'm going to try to stick with it for as long as possible, but I don't know. I hope that I can get beyond the chapter I stopped at last time, though, either way. Okay, so that is what I read this month. What I read so far this month. Like I said, I probably won't get Clash of Kings done this month, but I will probably get Animal Farm and Crooked Kingdom done. But I'm trying to be selective of my books this month because, as I've said on other videos, it is my birthday month. So I'm trying to pick books that I'm really, really interested in right now. I'm really, passionate about or just really eager to read. Books that I feel like I could really enjoy on my birthday month. So I don't know if that makes any sense. If other people are selective with the books they read during their birthday month. But anyway, if you like this video and weren't too bored with it, what I had to say, then please give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already. If you happen to be watching this video. Well, I will talk to you guys later. I hope you are enjoying your reading. And to all my subscribers, you are much appreciated, and I love you guys. Alright, bye.